Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to translate the highly technical, often totally grueling reality of astronaut training into an awe-inspiring journey. We often look up at the night sky and marvel at these astronauts just floating, seemingly effortlessly up there. But getting them there? Well, that requires subjecting the human body to some of the most intense, unforgiving conditions imaginable, right here on the ground.
And that brings us to the ultimate, fundamental challenge of space exploration. How do you prepare the human body for an environment that literally does not exist on Earth? To solve this, space agencies worldwide have built these incredible, massive facilities that push the absolute limits of human physiology. We're using our own planet to simulate the terrifying and completely alien environments of the cosmos. And honestly, the ways we do it are nothing short of engineering marvels.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to break this down into 3 key phases of preparation: surviving the launch, mastering microgravity, and finally, living in the extreme.
Let's jump right in with Phase 1, surviving the launch. The very first obstacle of any space mission is that violent, crushing acceleration you need just to break free from Earth's atmosphere. It is a massive shock to the human system. Long before an astronaut ever sees the black void of space, they have to train in these massive, rapidly spinning human centrifuges. Why? To prevent G-lock, or G-induced loss of consciousness. See, when a rocket accelerates, the immense G-forces basically drag all the blood down into the lower body, completely starving the brain of oxygen. And if they aren't prepared for it, that can be fatal.
The physical toll as these G-forces ramp up is, well, it's terrifying, and it happens in a highly specific sequence. Because intraocular pressure in the eye naturally counters your blood pressure, your eyes actually lose blood flow just before your brain does. So first, astronauts hit a grayout. That's a total loss of color vision. Next up is tunnel vision, as their peripheral sight just collapses in on them. Then, this progresses to a complete blackout. The astronaut is totally blind, but actually, strangely enough, still fully awake. If the forces keep climbing past that point, they cross the threshold into full G-lock and lose consciousness entirely.
Now here's a really fascinating quirk about all this. Human anatomy directly dictates rocket design. It basically comes down to a concept called eyeballs in versus eyeballs out. It turns out the human body is remarkably well built to survive forces pushing us forward, straight back into our seats. But if that G-force is pulling us backward, accelerating away from our backs, the blood vessels in the retina are incredibly sensitive and our tolerance just plummets. This physiological quirk is exactly why astronaut seating and spacecraft trajectories are engineered the specific way they are.
So what is the upper limit here? Well, human beings are incredibly resilient when trained properly. A highly fit individual, zipped up in a specialized pressurized G-suit and practicing aggressive anti-G-straining maneuvers, where they are literally tensing their muscles to force blood back up to their brain, can sustain up to 9 Gs. Just to put that into perspective for you, that is roughly 3 times the gravitational force you'd experience on the most intense, looping roller coaster on Earth, but sustained for a much, much longer time.
All right, moving on to Phase 2, mastering microgravity.
Transitioning from a crushing 9G launch to complete weightlessness means astronauts have to master this concept called neutral buoyancy. To safely practice spacewalks, or extravehicular activities as the agencies called them, they have to carefully balance themselves using specific weights and flotation devices inside these colossal indoor pools. The goal is so they neither sink nor float. Now sure, you still feel the pull of gravity inside the suit, and the water does create this slow, dragging friction, but it is absolutely the closest Earthbound simulation we have to real microgravity.
And getting this right is a huge global endeavor. It really takes a united international effort to prep humans for the cosmos. Astronauts are constantly traveling across the globe to train in different environments. We're talking NASA's massive lab in Texas, the European Space Agency's pre-familiarization facility in Cologne, Germany, all the way over to the legendary Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center in Russia. They spend countless hours running through incredibly complex contingency scenarios, making sure they are ready for literally any emergency. And to properly simulate space, you need serious scale: 6.2 million. That is the staggering number of gallons of water held within NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory down in Houston. The sheer volume of water you need to create a convincing microgravity environment is kind of hard to wrap your head around until you look at the physical space required to hold the whole shebang.
Check this out. The pool is 202 feet long and 40 feet deep. It's so immense that they actually sink full-scale mock-ups of International Space Station modules right to the bottom. They even drop full-size visiting vehicles like the SpaceX Dragon or the ESA ATV right into this pool. This lets astronauts practice every single handhold and every single tool rotation on the exact hardware they're going to see in orbit.
But this level of preparation demands absolute, relentless dedication. The training ratio is incredibly steep. For every single hour an astronaut is scheduled to spend on a spacewalk, they have to spend 5 to 7 hours underwater in this pool. Since a standard spacewalk lasts about 5 hours, you're looking at potentially 35 hours of grueling, exhausting underwater prep for just one single excursion outside the ship. It's just a stunning testament to the extreme repetition you need to survive up there.
Which brings us to our final phase. Phase 3. Living in the extreme.
Because think about it, surviving the physical demands of a spacewalk is one thing, but how do you prepare for the psychological isolation of a completely alien environment? Enter NEMO. That stands for NASA Extreme Environment Mission Operations. NASA literally sends crews of astronauts, scientists, and engineers to live in Aquarius, the world's only undersea research station. It's sitting 62 feet below the ocean surface right off the coast of Key Largo, Florida. Down there, these aquanauts simulate living on a spacecraft for up to 3 whole weeks at a time, totally cut off from the surface world.
Now, to even make a 3-week underwater mission possible, they rely on this physiological science called saturation diving. Basically, after 24 hours underwater at a specific depth, your body becomes completely saturated with dissolved gas. Once that happens, your required decompression time just locks in. It doesn't matter if you stay down for 2 days or 2 months, the decompression time back to the surface is exactly the same. It's a total game changer. This brilliant technique allows NEMO crews to just stay working indefinitely on the ocean floor without facing a daily risk of decompression sickness.
As the source material beautifully puts it, much like space, the undersea world is a hostile, alien place for humans to live. The pitch darkness, the deep isolation, the total reliance on life support systems, the high-stakes environment where one mistake can be disastrous, it perfectly mirrors spaceflight. It proves that we can rigorously test new space technologies, practice with communication delays, and really study crew psychology dynamically without ever having to actually leave Earth.
And the most incredible part? They aren't just simulating the space station anymore. By simply adjusting the weights and buoyancy on these aquanauts as they walk around on the ocean floor, NASA can accurately simulate the gravity of totally different, distant worlds. They are actively running missions right now that simulate the exact physical feeling of walking on near-Earth asteroids, the lunar surface, and eventually Mars and its moons. It ensures our equipment, and just as importantly our minds, are totally ready for the future of space exploration.
So, as we wrap up this explainer on the incredible resilience and training of Earthbound astronauts, I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. As our ambitions keep pushing us further, past Mars, maybe out towards the icy moons of Jupiter or Saturn, where will humanity need to build our next extreme analog facility? What other hostile, untouched environments right here on Earth hold the key to our future survival among the stars? Keep looking up and keep asking questions.